Thank you for your interest in applying to the Police Property Fund Small Grants Scheme. This webinar has been produced to provide support in completing the application form. Here's some things you may wish to know when thinking about applying into the scheme. This is the first call for applications to the Small Grant Scheme. The total fund available is £100,000. Your organisation must be constituted to be eligible to apply into the Small Grant Scheme. You can apply for between £1,000 and £10,000 for your project. Your proposed project must not be funded by any other public funds. However, you can apply if, as an organisation, you are funded by public funds for other projects that you implement. Your project must meet the scheme's eligibility criteria, namely, it must align to one or more of the charitable purposes stated in the guidance. It must demonstrate engagement with the Police Service of Northern Ireland, and it must make a contribution to community safety and/or building confidence in policing in your area. Your organisation must be financially stable to enable you to manage funds appropriately. The scheme will not support individual or private sector businesses, politically based activities, projects led by the PSNI or PCSPs, events or activities for which the principal aim is to fundraise for other organisations, capital funding, salaries, overheads or running costs unless they are integral to your project, and projects where the lead partner is based outside Northern Ireland. In applying to the scheme, only one application per project can be submitted at any one time. If successful, you will be issued with a letter of offer and standard conditions of grant which you must adhere to. You will receive 80% of your project costs up front. You will be required to provide evidence of expenditure to the programme team as agreed within your letter of offer. You will also be required to produce a post-project evaluation for your project. Depending on the length of your project, you may also be required to provide a progress report during implementation. The final 10% of your project costs will be paid on receipt of the post-project evaluation. An application form can be downloaded from the Policing Board website. Alternatively, you can request and complete a hard copy application form from the following address. You should complete the downloaded version in font no smaller than Arial 10, and written application forms must be legible. Each area of the application form has a maximum word count. You should ensure that the application form is fully completed. Incomplete application forms will not proceed to assessment. The application period is for 16 weeks. You should note the closing date and time, as late applications will not be accepted. To assist with completion, you should read the Guidance for Applicants document included in the application pack. I will now take you through the application form, starting with section 1. In this section, we want some details about you and your project. Complete the name of your organisation, its address, including postcode, and the date your organisation was constituted. Don't forget that a copy of your organisation's constitution should be sent in with your completed application form. Tell us the title of your project. To allow us to keep in touch with you, please tell us who the main contact for the project will be and include their email address, postal address, including their postcode and their contact number. You should also provide the position they hold in your organisation. Also, let us know if you have any project partners. As the Policing Board provides funding and support to policing and community safety partnerships in each council, we'd like to know if your local PCSP is involved in your project. Finally, in this section, confirm by ticking this box that the project is not receiving funding from other public sources. If this box is not ticked, we will assume that it is receiving funding from other public sources and the application will be deemed ineligible. Moving on to section 2. In this section, we want to know more about your project and how it meets the scheme's eligibility criteria. You should first provide a brief overview of your project proposal. This should include its aims and objectives, its key elements, and what it intends to achieve. While this section is not scored, it should provide the assessment panel with sufficient information to describe your proposed project. You should indicate the expected duration of your project. It is sufficient to include the months and year for each, as the exact date will be dependent on the date you receive your letter of offer. Next, we want to see how your project proposal fits with the scheme's eligibility criteria. These areas will be scored. Firstly, describe the level and type of engagement your project will have with a PSNI. For example, they may be a project partner, or delivering parts of the project, or they may be attending your events. Next, please outline how your project will make a contribution to community safety and/or confidence in policing in your area. For example, through the provision of diversionary activities for young people, through activities with vulnerable people, or through PSNI engagement with hard-to-reach communities. Remember, these should link with the charitable purposes that your project aligns to. You should also indicate how the contribution will be measured and reported at project end. More details on this will be required under section 4 of the application form. Finally, you must let us know which of the charitable purposes your project proposal aligns to. This can be more than one, and briefly describe how it aligns to the charitable purpose or purposes selected. On to section 3. It is important that your organisation has the capacity to manage the funding. Therefore, in this section, you need to tell us the total amount of funding you are requesting. In completing the financial information, you're also required to provide a budget breakdown by completing appendix 1 of the application form. Let us know if there's any match funding being provided, but remember, this cannot be from another public source. Applicants should note that match funding is not a requirement. Let us know if there are any in-kind contributions. For example, this could be staff time or use of resources. Again, this is not a requirement. You should then give us information about the financial contact for your project. This will be the person that the programme team will liaise with in relation to management of the funding, including claims. You must confirm by ticking this box that you are in a position to provide the most recent official accounts for the organisation. These will be requested as part of pre-contract checks if you have been approved for funding. Finally, you should provide us with information on your financial controls, which should include details of financial or governance procedures or frameworks in place in your organisation. This information will assist in establishing your capacity for managing the funding that you have requested. On to section 4. In this section, we are interested in learning about the expected outcomes and impacts of your project. This should include expected beneficiaries, for example, young people, older people, or community groups. We're interested in learning the expected change that may occur as a result of your project activities. And you should also tell us how you will communicate success within your community through communication tools such as a project launch, press releases, or social media platforms. Applicants should note that specific performance measurements will be agreed with you if you're approved, and these will be included in your letter of offer. On to section 5. In this section, you're required to confirm that you're in a position to submit a copy of your organisation's constitution with your completed application form. You should insert the name of your organisation, and it must be signed by either the chairperson or chief executive. Before submission, please check the following: that you have fully completed sections 1 to 5, that all the appropriate boxes have been ticked, that the application form has been signed by either the chairperson or chief executive of your organisation, that you have completed appendix 1, the budget breakdown, and have included it with your application form, and that you've included a copy of your organisation's constitution with your completed application. Finally, we're interested in finding out how you became aware of the Police Property Fund and would ask that you tell us in this box. It could, for example, be through your PCSP, through social media, or through word of mouth. If you need any additional information in relation to completing your application, you can contact the programme team on 02890 408 500. Alternatively, you can email us at policepropertyfund@nipolicingboard.org.uk. Finally, good luck with your application.